and welcome to Sunrise. Well, everything continues from one live show to another.
Especially on a day like this when an election is underway.
Yes, certainly. As the Ekiti governorship election, I must confess that in the back room, let me put it that way, not in front of a camera, I've been impressed by the turnout of people that are trying to vote for this election. It's been amazing, really, seeing a lot of people come out, checking their names, on the list, INEC lists, for those who would be voting, people checking for their PVCs and all that. And at 8:30, that election started. But really, I was impressed. People actually want to vote. People want to vote, and
what I'm looking forward to now is the percentage of voters compared to the number of registered voters and PVCs collected. Yeah. Because the last time they had up to 50% turnout was in 2014, and the last election they had less than 25% of voter turnout. So it'll be great to find, Renai, that we have more voters turn out now than in the previous election.
Yes.
Secondly, in the areas, and we'll be hearing from our reporters, as we do those crossings to them, to find out whether it's a general turnout all across the state or it's just sectional. Yeah. Because there are remote areas. In every state there are remote areas. I had the privilege of flying over Ekiti via a chopper once, and oh God, it was. How was that experience? There's a lot of bush. We just put it that way. There's a lot of forestry, a lot of agricultural opportunities. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to the numbers from the INEC or whoever, the number of the percentage of people that turn out to vote compared to the percentage of compared to the number of registered voters. Yeah. Maybe that's the first thing we should be taking up with Eyitope.
Yes, certainly. Eyitope is joining us from Ekiti State. Eyitope, great to see you this morning and hear from you. I know you've been in Ekiti for a while, trying to prepare for these elections. So give us an update on the process. We do know that the elections started about 30 minutes ago, and we're hearing large numbers of people turning out for this election. How is that compared to previous elections?
Okay, good morning, and let me start by saying, compared to yesterday, it's a sunny morning here in Ekiti State, the morning of the Saturday of the governorship election. And I'm here at polling unit 003 in Okelele, Ikogosi, in Ekiti West local government area of Ekiti State. And if I say Ikogosi, definitely you're familiar with Ikogosi. You're familiar with Ikogosi, one of Nigeria's foremost tourism attractions and destinations in this country. And when I mean tourism attraction, you talk about the cold and warm water spring. And aside the tourist attraction, the people here, residents of Ikogosi, they are joining millions of Ekiti voters to vote and elect the next governor that will lead the state for the next 4 years. And here at Okelele Ward, polling unit 003, voting started at about 8:33 a.m. 8:33 a.m. and it's been smooth here. If you could see behind me, you could see the large number of voters here. We have about 668 registered voters in this polling unit, and we were told that the candidate of the All Progressives Congress is also expected to vote here at this polling unit. And we've seen elderly people, we've seen the youths, we've seen men, women, all queuing up because we got here around 7:30, and before we got here, they were already here queuing up to cast their vote and exercise their civic responsibility.
Interesting. First of all, I have to admit that the smile on your face is also very, very sunny. It sounds to me like you're actually, happy that a good number of people are turning out to vote. But it's perhaps too early to say that we're comparing numbers now. But from what you see, it's one thing for people to come out en masse to vote. It's another thing entirely to check whether or not even the people themselves feel safe about, coming out to vote, particularly in the light of all these things. For you, what do you think could be the reason for this turnout, or has it always been like this in this particular area?
Okay, we've been taking the feel of the people since yesterday, and they are excited to want to participate in this election. And the security operator had already promised a secured voting for today, and the NSCDC promised that they said they are deploying about 10,000 men for this election, while the police said about 12,000 for this election. And there's a combined security agency that is also covering this election and monitoring the election. So I think the confidence is coming from what the security operators have said, that they will ensure that there is no breakdown of law and order, and they will ensure that everybody who is participating in this election is safe. I came all the way from Ekiti this morning, and as I was coming, I saw security presence at every stop, at every pole. They were there just trying to ensure that there's no breakdown of law and order. Even around me, security operatives are also around. And one thing I said, they also got here very early, so I don't know if it's for this Ekiti West local government where I'm covering, but from Ekiti, I passed through Ilawe and some other communities, and I saw presence of security operatives. So maybe this has boosted the confidence of voters to want to come out and exercise their civic responsibility.
Okay, just one more thing. I don't know if you may want to take the feel of people again, but there are 16 local government areas in Ekiti State. There are 177 wards and 2,445 polling units, and this is just one of them, or maybe it's a group of wards that are there. And the huge turnout is undeniable from what we can see. Can you tell whether or not it's the same all across the state, or just on some areas that have this large turnout and others are just sitting at home?
Okay, there's a restriction of movement between 12 a.m. and 6 p.m. today, so when we're coming, we saw some people seated in front of their houses, and we even saw businesses, opened. And when I mean businesses, like the small, medium scale businesses, trying to do their buying and selling. Even some markets were opened, But the thing about it, about what you talked about now is, for now, from what I've heard from my other colleagues, we have large turnout of voters in all these parts. But I'm not sure if it's like that across the 16 local government areas. But from Ekiti, where I'm coming from, through Ilawe, and down to Ikogosi, I've seen a lot of voters turn out to exercise their civic responsibility.
A million or thereabout people are planning to vote. Do you see a chance where not everyone will be able to vote at regulated time? Do you see, from this turnout and the resources that have been spread all over the place, do you see a chance where everyone is able to vote before regulated time, or a possibility of an extension when the crowd is huge?
Dr. Bumi Omosendemi, the resident electoral commissioner in Ekiti State, yesterday told me that with INEC guidelines, voting is expected to end by 2 p.m. But if we still have people on the queue, it will be extended. You can't disenfranchise people. So when you see people on the queue, you wait till they are done before they end the voting process. So but since they started early, they might finish early, and but we don't actually know yet because the crowd is still coming. Here at this premise where I am, we have 668 registered voters, and from what we have here, I don't think it's been exhausted yet. So if we still have people on the queue, definitely there will be an extension.
And Temitope, from what I see behind you, as you said, there's a crowd, a huge crowd, and I want to believe that there should be some kind of order. How is the election process going? How are people going in, queuing up to cast their vote? What kind of order is going on behind you? Because I'm not there, I can't see, but you have a better view than I do.
Okay, actually when I came, I was even surprised that by the time I got here, people were already on the queue, orderly. And we have security agencies here trying to ensure that nobody is shunting and there's nobody trying to disorganize the queue. And the electoral officers also came early, and the beavers machine is working perfectly here. Like I said, the first voter voted about 8:33 a.m. So the crowd, I think the electoral officials, the security agencies are able to manage the crowd here, to ensure that this place is not disorganized.
We'll check in on you later.
Yeah, and we'll definitely check in on you later. But quick one, 10 seconds. What's the average turnaround for each voter?
Come again?
What's the average voter turnaround for each person that goes into the poll?
I don't seem to understand that. Can you take that?
Like
average voting time, like what time, how long does it take each voter to cast their vote? The process, checking the beavers,
machine, less than 2 minutes. Less than 2 minutes. Yeah, they're done. You get there, you see your name. The beavers machine recognizes your face. You get the ballot paper, go to the booth, and vote and leave.
Awesome.
Within 2 to 3 minutes, you're done and you're out.
Awesome. So I just gave some mathematicians some assignments. Now you said there are 660 something voters there. So with that number, you can do a quick count.
668.
668. Great. So yeah, you do a bit of calculation. Okay, this is the number. This is the length of time it's likely to take at this particular one.
Right.
I don't know if it's
3 minutes times 668.
Well, we don't know if after now the beavers machine
don't say that. Come on, don't.
No, don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
Don't say that. Thank you very much, Itope. We'll circle back to you later on. Come on, Itope. Come on. How could you say that? How could you? But anyway, I think it's just the stress.
Yeah, do your calculation now. 3 minutes.
I said mathematicians. Do I look like a mathematician?
No, you should do. You have to do it.
Okay, use your calculator. So 668 voters.
Let's wait for your mathematician, please.
1 minute is 668 minutes times 3.
Right.
Okay.
We understand the other correspondent, Kumbi Aboluade, is also standing by. If we can get her to come on, I think we'll check in with her. Once she's here, we'll let you know.
I think, okay, is she getting ready? Okay, when she's ready, we'll let you know. But yeah. I think there is a factor, because I was thinking this morning, and hopefully maybe if and when we get guests to be able to ask them about that as well. People need to recognize that not going out to vote is actually, not
deciding already.
Not just disenfranchising yourself. You are a taxpayer. Mm-hmm. Your money, whether you know it or not, it's like you pay school fees for your child and the child refuses to go to school. Who's losing? Not you. It's the student.
Yeah.
So your money has been spent to prepare the election.
Yeah.
Ballot boxes, ballot papers, and all the logistics INEC is going to come out and say, this is how much it cost us. We know how much it's costing Channels Television. We know, I mean, each radio, TV, newspaper house knows how much it's costing their people. So we can't, if we can find a way to put all of those figures together, it's humongous. Yes. So people need to recognize that not voting is not, you are practically throwing money away. Yeah. I mean, who goes to buy a phone and decides to throw it in the Third Mainland Bridge? Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's extreme. But so that's one orientation. Whether you like it or not, it's your money. What your money has been spent for you. That's the whole idea of government. Your money has been created, used to create an environment for you to do something. So there's no mean way to put it. We understand Kumbi is joined us now. Good morning, Kumbi. Please tell us where you are and how has it been? We got a report from Etokwe the other time. Tell us what's new in your area. Do you have the same reports like him about voter turnout? And give us, your report so far.
All right, good morning. I'm at Ikara local government area, Ugele Aroko ward, and right behind me is polling unit 006. And voting actually commenced at 8:30 on the dot. Initially, the presiding officers actually made it easier or tried to make it easier for elderly people to cast their votes and pregnant women. But what we're seeing now is that this voting process has been delayed shorter because the BVAS isn't recognizing elderly people here. And only 3 persons have actually casted their votes since 8:30. Well, the process has been delayed, and we hope that they resolve that in earnest so that these elderly persons, as well as the younger ones, can, start casting their votes. But now what they did is to suspend the elderly people and, start with just the average age and below. And that's what we have here. But voting, the voter turnout is impressive. You can see right behind me that it's a long line, just getting to where we are right now. And so this polling unit also is actually the polling unit for the People's Democratic Party's candidate for this governorship election. But we're yet to see him. We hope that he comes, in due time so that we can also have him, at the voting area and also to cast his votes as well. But so far, so good. These voters are enthusiastic about, engaging in the process and, engaging in the process and also exercising their franchise. But we've seen also a very, high presence of security operatives right here in this local government area. They've been patrolling, nonstop at this area as well.
That's comforting. But the issue you raised about BVAS is definitely concerning. They switched from allowing the elderly voters to the younger ones. Is it recognizing, is the BVAS machine recognizing the younger ones quicker? Or is it a defect with the machine?
So I had to leave that area just to, come on live. Then I would go back and monitor the process. But before I left there, this was the situation. But from what I understand now, the PDP candidate is right behind me. He just arrived. So maybe my cameraman can just move so that we capture him. The phone. Guys up. Look guys up.
Okay, I'm pretty sure we're going to get that better as soon as we have a clear feed. We'll bring that right back up because it's looking like it's a bit unsettled about something. At least what I can see on his face. Okay.
Well, back there. Unsettled. You never know. Perhaps it's one of those elderly people that the BVAS machine will probably not recognize his face because I'm not sure he's 40 years old. So.
Okay. So Anyway, there's still movement.
Maybe he's received that report, and that's what is making him a little bit worried. We're not sure, but I'm sure Kumbi will be able to update us on that as soon as she gets the information.
Is he joining the queue, or is he going straight to the polling point? It would be good for us to understand exactly what is happening right there. Because from what we can see now, it's okay. That's where the INEC officials are. Okay, so sounds like he's
going to cast his vote. Yeah,
straight to the beginning of the line. Yeah,
yes.
It's looking a bit like
he's not happy about something.
He's not happy about
I'm sure we'll get that. We'll get to know what it is once he's able to complete his process.
Well, I'm glad about something. I always like to look at the upsides, right? So yes. I'm glad that the people have demonstrated enough confidence in the security agencies for them to troop out en masse. When I saw the numbers this morning, that between 2014 and the last election, there was a progressive reduction in the percentage of voters that came out for the process. But now we hear there is a lot of people that have come out. We're hoping we'll be able to get some feed, hopefully as soon as he's done, gives us an understanding of what's happening. So let's hope that this has increased the number of voters that have come out. But then there is also, from what our colleague was telling us, Kumbi was telling us the other time, the BVAS is definitely a concern. Oh, it's an ingenious initiative, but it's still technology. And technology will always have its way of having its way. So we can hear him talking to the people now. Okay, so we can't hear what he's saying, but I'm hoping that we'll be able to. Can't really hear him, but okay, he's kind of addressed the people, and he definitely has his own following the election right now. That's the candidate of the PDP is Chief Wale Oluyede, who considers it, some pundits say it's an opportunity for him to regain political relevance in a state where the party once enjoyed significant dominance. And it's interesting because there are those who consider former Governor Fatherhood as the leader of the PDP in Ekiti State. But guess what? It's not. It's undeniable that he is not, supporting the candidate of his party. He's supporting the candidate of the APC, and he's unapologetic about it. Anyway, that's the PDP candidate standing in front of the people who are voting, trying to make a comment or two just to try to understand what the situation is. From what we gathered from Ekiti the other time, the election is going quite smoothly, but here the BVAS is a bit defective. And I know that for every polling unit, there is a backup device.
Yeah, there's a backup device. So
when Kumbi said that they switched from certain people to another set of people, I'm beginning to wonder if that made any significant difference. But we'll get more of this as events unfold. So while we are happy with the voter turnout, those who may not be there, you better not be in town to not come out to vote. If you are in town, please do come out to vote, so that.
Are you able to get a clean shot?
So that we are able to put it there. So as we can see, Kumbi is still trying to make sure we get the best we can from that. Okay, I think the governor is casting his vote already. The PDP candidate is casting his vote already. So that is definitely happening right there. Okay. All right. It would be very interesting to find out exactly what's happening.
Yes, I am so sure it's one of the significant dramas of the day that we will capture. We'll definitely get back to Kumi to tell us exactly, what's going on and what the governor was complaining. The PDP candidate was complaining about if he was able to actually cast his votes. Get through the process in 3 minutes, as yes. As was being done where a youth was
clearly it hasn't happened in 3 minutes. Yeah.
So a mathematician should recalculate.
No, they will do what they call plus or minus.
Yeah. All right.
So, all right, we'll come right back to you in a moment. Do stay with us.
Welcome back, and we're staying with the Ekiti State governorship election, which is currently ongoing. Of course, you've heard from some of our correspondents covering the election in Ekiti State, and all the updates you've had. Large turnout of voters. No voter apathy from what I've seen. Of course, they've not given us updates from all the polling units, but from what we've seen so far, if those two are anything to go by, then I'm guessing that the people are really coming out to vote, and they want to decide who governs them in the next 4 years.
I'm still curious, though.
Curiosity kills the cats.
Well, I'm not a cat. That's the difference. Where Itope reported from, the governor we hear is going to vote there.
Yeah.
Where Kumbi reported from, the PDP candidate is there.
Is there already?
There. Yeah. So maybe that is why we have that.
You have a point.
So we're waiting. So maybe this next stop.
Outside of our regular correspondence, we also have people to help us look at this election and the ultimate outcome, of course, what it means. Brenda Anugwam, CEO, Nigerian Women Trust Fund, is in Ekiti. She's going to be joining us from there. She's an election observer. And of course, we also have Kayode Adeluola, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, who joins us virtually. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you. Good morning.
Right. Well, apart from ladies first, but let me start with Brenda, who is actually on ground in Ekiti State, to see what her thoughts are about the elections, which started almost an hour ago. Brenda, great to see you. What have you observed so far right there in Ekiti? First, you can tell us, where you are and the observations that you've made so far.
Thank you so much. Great to be here with you. So I am at Ward 4 in Ado Ekiti. This is St. Michael's Secondary School, where there are actually 2 polling units. You can see there's one behind me. There's also one in front of me, which you cannot see. And each of them is filled with people. So when we arrived here about 8:15 a.m., the crowd was already on the ground.
Good morning. Good morning, Nigerians.
Mr. Kari.
Yeah, so the crowd was already on ground waiting. And I also noticed that women who have babies given preferential treatment. They are taken to the table first so that they can start their accreditation. Although when we came, the BVAS was not working, but the women are patiently holding on to their babies. Some of them had to take a quick break to nurse their children under the shade, but they are waiting patiently to wait for the officials to get the BVAS working, and then they can go and start their accreditation.
So it's sounding to me like from what someone told us earlier at another polling unit. Are you saying that the BVAS the BVAS machine is having issues?
Well, yes. When we came, there were issues, but the officials said that they will simply troubleshoot and then they will start. So I'm seeing the women run out right now. If you notice, there's movement going behind me. That means the BVAS has started working. So, but I'm really happy that women with babies who turned out in large numbers are actually being given preferential treatment, and they will, be able to cast their votes first before others.
Thank you for that. Before we let you off for a bit, now before we go to our second guest, you've told us now that there's a large voter turnout where you are, the 2 polling units right there. Can you tell if it's the same from other centers where your network is monitoring the elections from?
I came from another polling unit, PU 030, Oboro, that's what it's called. And people were already on queue by 8 a.m. And of course, there were more women there than the men. And the only woman I saw at that time who had a baby, an infant in her arms, was given a seat to relax while the officials were setting up. So I found that also very good. It means that the CVE, the Continuous Voter Education, is working. People know those who are for priority voting, and they are following the rules accordingly.
The last time that the voters came out up to 50% was in 2014. So I'm looking to see whether this current process will break that record. But let's quickly talk to our second guest. Well, Scotty, you first of all, tell us what your impression is. All we've been hearing, massive turnout of voters, which is not the same as the things we have had previously. What are your thoughts on that, and what concerns, if any, do you have?
Thank you. First of all, if we do have massive turnout, a good thing for our democracy, because what has concerned a lot of us in the past is the fact that, like you said, in 2014, we had about 50% turnout in Ekiti. And surely after that, we've had a deceleration, if you may want to call it that, or a decrease in the number of voters from 50% to 40%, 38%. So we're concerned that on this occasion, we do not have a further decrease of voter turnout, because then that should demoralize us. It's not good for our democracy, it's not good for our development. So my concern would be, as we have heard, there has massive voter turnout in some places, Ekiti, Kogos, and what have you. What I would hope for, and I keep my fingers crossed, is that would have the BVAS working, the IRF also deployed appropriately, so that we get right on top of technological use of equipment to get voting and the whole process done properly. It doesn't matter who's going to win. The process should be clear, should be transparent, and to make everyone who participates in it, or in fact who observes from a distance, to walk away feeling assured that we have done a good job. It's not for people to come out and then there are no ballot papers, for example. I don't think we've had that report yet. But people should be allowed to vote, get the BVAS accreditation done, and get on with it, so that when they get back home, they know that, well, I participated and my vote has counted. That really is what I would be concerned about on this occasion. Thank you.
Yeah, so, a lot of voter education has been going on. A lot of education to people, to allow their votes count, to allow themselves be the voice of of the voting process. And I say that because of the vote buying situation that we often find ourselves in past elections. From what you see or what you've heard or reports that you probably have garnered from this ongoing process in Ekiti State, do you think that we're not likely to see any of that playing out? There was a particular off-cycle election that happened some time ago, and EFCC officials were actually arresting people, for selling votes, some party agents and what have you that were there. But from what we've seen so far, this election has been ongoing for the upmost of about just over an hour, and we've not heard any of that incident yet. Do you think, what do you think of this process so far?
Well, I'm not there on ground.
Yes, that's why I asked. Just your thoughts.
It looks as if everyone come out, votes, and they build up properly. The regularity going on. We have to wait for the outcome. But then again, what we need to ask ourselves is, if we talk about bribery, which is what's vote buying, the penalty for that is $500,000 or 12 months. Now the question is, do we want to keep going round and round about whether people will abide by laws or they would not? The truth is, these laws are available. Laws are reprisal or the punishment for violation. Those are on our books. The question is, are we willing? Now, I think, for example, parts do not have any coercive authority. They do not have police. They cannot. They will only report to the police where there's infraction. Should we then be bogged down almost every time we have an electoral process with fear that people will not obey the laws? These laws are made so that we can comply with them and make our society better. But the truth is, if you talk about people buying votes, 2,000 here, 4,000 there, the truth is, until you get to the man at the top who is actually disbursing the funds and not, picking on the poor man in the street, we won't get to the bottom of it. For example, if I'm not talking about Ekiti in this case, if a contestant is a governor or a senator or what have you, and he's got the resources, he's the one we should look at and ensure that he doesn't do anything that is wrong. But if we go around talking about people who pay for votes, then we'll be talking about the man and the boy in the street who's just trying to eke out a living because he's poor. That's not our problem, really. Our problem is the person who is disbursing the heavy funds to get this done. Aside from that, I'm convinced that we need a complete reorientation as a people. We must begin to ask ourselves, do we as a generation present now find ourselves accustomed to vote buying, accustomed to regularities? Or should we ask ourselves whether from primary schools we begin to have civics as a subject, again, like we used to have in the past, where children, whether in Sunday school or in primary schools or in primary schools, are indoctrinated. I'm not hesitant to use that word, in believing that certain things are just wrong and they just should not allow them to be done. Such that you find a child who would probably go over and say, Grandpa, I know you have this and you have that, but what do you do for a living? It might sound like a joke initially, but these perhaps are the people who might turn around our nation. Otherwise, many times we're just going to find ourselves going to elections and praying and hoping and keeping our fingers crossed there will be no irregularities. I'm hopeful that people of Ekiti will prove us wrong and come out of this election to say that we have voted, we have elected a governor who we want, and there has not been any irregularity. And we shall be able to applaud them.
Okay, well, I'll come back to you on whether or not the voter sensitization, the continuous voter sensitization activity was effective or not, and whether or not people even understand the value that they should or are placing on the elections. But for the, let me quickly go to Brenda, the madam who we spoke with earlier. Well, madam, we understand that up to 97% of PVCs have been collected. And it will be interesting to know, because, you know, in some other parts of the nation, we've heard people say that they've collected their PVCs for one important reason, to be able to use it for some form of identification or not. Now, with this voter turnout, can you connect the PVC collection to the voter turnout, or is there some kind of a different agenda on the minds of the people that made the people come out? What could have motivated this high turnout that you're talking about?
Thank you so much. Yes, we were told the figures, and we were told 97.1% of PVC collection happened. But you know, it will be difficult to connect what I'm seeing now with that, because that 97.1% is a percentage, it's not a number compared to what I'm seeing here. But what I'm seeing here and what I saw on the way here, I can definitely say the turnout is impressive, but of course we have to compare with the number of people who are registered to the polling units. And I must say, but for me, I am more impressed in the fact that the women are so resilient. I know you can't see this, but in front of me, the other polling units, which is behind you and in front of me, they are laying their blankets on the floor and placing their toddlers, which means they are here to stay. They mean business, and they really want to cast their votes. So that is impressive. It shows resilience, and you know, the fact that the population really, really wants to select their new leader for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Do you see any chance, you know, where, I mean, you've talked about security deployment on your way and around, that we've also heard about a lockdown of movement until 6 p.m. this evening. Of course, lawyers are already raising issues about the violation of human rights, the hurting of local economy and all of that. Do you think, well, of course, we'll talk to Mr. Dilola in a moment, but do you think that is... do you think it is something hurtful, the fact that we have to lock down movement, or you think it's where we are now and we should just use what we can to get what we can?
Thank you so much. You know, I think I stand by your last sentence. Well, this is the system that we operate in this part of the world. Of course, in other parts of the world, life will still be moving as normal. But here, because it's an election and it's simply one day, and everybody had notice of the fact that elections will hold today, I'm hoping that people would have done what they needed to do to prepare to stay home today. And movement is just restricted from 6 p.m. Until 6 p.m. So it's important that they use the time given to them to go out and vote. And I think it's because of that we have this massive turnout. At least I have been to 3 polling units, and the turnout is impressive. So maybe it may hurt the economy and all that, but this is the situation we found ourselves in. Let's make the best of it. For now, what I'm seeing, I think we're making the best of it in terms of choosing who the next leaders of the state will be. Thank you.
Right, and you know, as much as you know, we have a crowd of people there lined up trying to cast their vote. We also have reports of a heavy security presence to keep order and to ensure that there's no hanky-panky going on behind the scenes. Where you are, what kind of security presence can you see there?
Okay, so from from the gates of the school, we're in a school, you could see NSCDC, and then you see the mobile police, and they are there at the gates, but they are not accosting anyone. I mean, we walked in freely, and we've been moving around freely. To my right, I have a couple of policemen. You may not see them, but they're like 3 or 4, seated there quietly, peacefully, and observing just like I am. I can also see in front of me the other polling units there. They are female police officers. I see 3 just standing there, not saying a word, and just maintaining order there. So where I came from, PU 030, there were about 4 policemen I noticed standing next to the BVAS, and they were not saying a word. They were just simply standing, and the officials were setting up while the people were lined up. So we've seen presence, but we don't see them accosting anyone or interacting. So they're just simply there observing and of course keeping the peace. So that's what I've observed so far.
Get back quickly to Mr. Adeluola about the legality or otherwise. Well, you are a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Adeluola, and we have heard over and over again people raise issues about restriction of movement. First of all, it violates human rights, and then there are those who are also looking at the economy, the local economy side. Even though when we heard from our colleague the other time, Itayo, who was saying that, look, there are some local economies that refuse to shut down in some other parts of the state. But what are your thoughts on that? Is it usually effective that roads are locked down, vehicles, movement of vehicles are restricted? Would you say that they have been over time helpful to maintaining election security, or what have you?
Now, the truth is, everyone has a constitutional right to free movement, association, and what have you. Then again, these are personal rights. So we are then going to ask ourselves, putting side by side the need for orderliness in society, the need for compliance with regulations vis-a-vis the rights of the individual, which should come first. We can say that, yes, everyone should be allowed to move around because that's the constitutional right that they have. But what is the likely consequences in a situation where we're having elections? In our peculiar situation, I use the language, our peculiar situation, because we know very well that even where there's restriction on movement, people still in the past have snatched boxes, run away with them, and then we've had situations where all manner of things have happened. Now, if we allow people to simply move around, the possibility is that you find it more difficult to trace those who have done some of these criminal acts, and we find ourselves in a situation where voting may be truncated and the whole election may be cancelled. For a few hours, we may be willing, or we should be willing as citizens, to donate our rights for the common good of the society. That is my view. But having said that, with time, we should begin to find a situation where people can vote wherever they are seated in their homes. People in diaspora should be able to vote, so that we don't have to move around and go to polling units. If we must go to polling units, we should be able to do so. But those who choose to vote using their BVN or NIN should be able to do so. I mean, technology should be able to avail us such that wherever we are, we can vote and get it over and done with a few minutes or a few hours. So we don't have to restrict people, because there could be situations where persons who are in dire situations, emergencies, are unable to move around because transport is not even available. We don't want people dying, people who are in labor, in throes of childbirth, having situations where they cannot even get to the labor ward. Or find situations where people who rely on business on Saturday who then cannot make money in spite of this very bad economic situation that we're in. Hopefully, we'll get around it, and citizens themselves will be able to say, whether you allow us to move around or not, we ensure that the process is sacrosanct.
One of the things that comes to mind about this local economy part that you brought up is the prices people pay for us to have the kind of electoral processes that we need. On the one hand, election is just one element in the electioneering process, in the democratic, process. There are those who would also say, okay, maybe I should ask it this way. While we are celebrating large voter turnout, I'm not sure we can get 100% voter turnout. There are those who may still be unsettled. One of the promos we played earlier talked about people asking whether or not their votes are going to count. So Joke and I discussing earlier said that, look, it is possible people don't know that they are practically paying for this election. Yes. It's the people that pay for the election. It's not INEC's money, it's not the federal government's money, it's their money. So if you are and every Nigerian pays tax, every Nigerian, whether directly or indirectly, because if you buy a product, someone has already placed the tax they are supposed to pay or they will pay on that particular product already. So one way or the other, directly or indirectly, we are paying taxes. Do you think that orientation, that understanding would propel people to see the importance of spending the money, or rather utilizing the money that they have spent to execute this election?
Good question. I have always been of the view that the ministries of information and ministries who carry out similar functions, whether in the states or the federal level, have a very strong role to play. Now, their role is not only for election purposes, even for employment, labor, what options the young people have and what have you. We need them to do this for us all year round. And so the sensitization should not just be about just a few months before the elections. It should be all year round. And that's why I said earlier that we need some measure of indoctrination. You may want to have the Ministry of Information and the Ministry of Education coming together to revamp school curriculum, particularly for children. Let them understand what it is to vote. You hear, for example, that, can you hear me? You hear, for example, that in a place like the United States of America, everybody goes through some measure of voting from primary school, from classroom to the school and what have you. So through a lifetime, you would have gone through the process of voting so many times. Let it be a part of us as well. Let children learn it in civics in schools. Let them understand why sometimes you have to give up a bit of your time, a bit of your resources for common good. It's a good thing. Just during this World Cup, we saw that when the Japanese finished the match, their citizens went around picking up garbage around where they were seated. This is the culture. And we need to begin to ask ourselves, can these also be reenacted? We used to have in those...
You've hit a very, very solid point there, culture. Leadership experts, performance coaches will tell us all the time that if you get it wrong from the level of culture, you got it wrong all the time. And if any change is going to happen, it has to start from the culture. And thank you so much for your time this morning. Mr. Kade Adilola is a senior advocate of Nigeria. I'm pretty sure that we'll be reaching out to you again. We've also had Ms. Brenda Anugwam, who is the CEO of Nigerian Women Trust Fund. I'm almost certain that we're going to circle back to you. At least one of our correspondents will still be able to circle back to you before this process is over, so that we can get your perspectives on how it all went. Thank you again for your time. So when we return, Seun Okinbaloye is on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. Well, thank you so much. It's still our continuing coverage of the Ekiti State governorship elections. It's just the governorship elections, right? Not the House of...
No. Just the governorship elections.
We're just putting it out there. So in case you have other candidates for other roles, like councillor, it's not this one.
There's no vacancy.
It's just governorship. So some quick facts and numbers for you. The total registered voters for this election, particularly in Ekiti State, is 1,059,360 people registered to vote, and records have it that it's the largest voter register in the state's history until now. And we understand that the voters almost collected all of their PVCs.
Yes, almost all. That's what's that now? Yeah, almost all now.
PVC,
PVC collection is crazy when you see it.
Total of
1,028,929 PVC cards have been collected. We have a total of 1,059,360 people registered.
Just a few.
Just a few. Let's put that to your mathematician again.
No, please. My mathematician.
These numbers are too big to be subtracted.
Yes, come on. And then voting centers. Voting is going to take place 16 local government areas, 177 wards, and 2,445 polling units. And as at now, we hear that all the polling units that we have taken
are bustling with life.
That's the word. They are full to the brim.
Yes,
almost
overflowing.
Okay. Opening time, polling units officially opened at 9:30 this morning.
Yeah.
We understand there is a place that they voted at exactly 8:30 this morning in Ekiti State. Please, keep it up. Let's all keep it up. That's the way we have to go about it. Let's keep it up.
Oh my God! Are you doing the Trump mimic? Trump mimic?
No. So that's it. We understand, of course, that the Ekiti State Police Command ordered a total restriction of vehicular movements across the state from 12 midnight until 6 p.m. today. Well, don't worry. It's vehicles that are not supposed to be on the road. I
wonder when we will stop imposing restriction of movement for elections. In other climes, that doesn't happen. You go and vote. You take excuse from work. Please, I need to cast my vote. You go and vote, and you come back to work, or you go back to your business. Whatever you need to do. Everybody's free to move.
You're right. For now, this is where we are. There was a time we were doing option A4. Everybody queue. Now we are not doing that. We'll be talking to the provost of the College of Postgraduate Studies at Afeba Balola University at Ekiti in Ekiti State. He's an analytical and forensic chemist. We'll get to him as soon as we have him ready to speak for us. Well, I understand that Professor Ojo is with us. Good morning, Prof, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, everyone on the show. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It almost sounded like you are saying, good morning, sir. Good morning, ma. Good morning, friends. It's good to have you, Prof. Tell us, we understand that you have performed your civic duty. What are your thoughts on the process? How did it go?
Well, I went to the polling unit that is close to my house here, and people were already there before I got there. It was a very well attended packed with other voters, and they are still trying to organize them to be in line. So when I discovered that they were not getting very organized, I decided to come back home and be going there in the next 1 hour or two.
Oh, okay. So, but so far, you said that there were people on the queue as at the time you got there. What's the number looking like? Do you have any idea how many people are supposed to be there and how many were there at the time?
As at the time I got there, I can estimate the number of people to be over between 100 and 150 people.
Wow.
Yes.
Between 100 and 150 people. As early as 8 o'clock, you said?
At about 8:30 when I got there.
Well, you are a voter, and of course we'll come back to the analytical part of the conversation later.
Yeah.
But what do you think could be the motivation for people? Because progressively, or should I say regressively, between 2014 and the last election, people turned out less and less and less until this one. What could be the motivation this time, in your opinion?
I think there are probably a number of reasons for large turnouts of people. Normally, like you have rightly guessed, many people don't bother to go and vote because maybe one, they are scared, and two, they feel that their vote will not count. But from all assurances that everybody has been given, it appears as if...
Okay. All right, Prof. We understand that the governor is getting ready to cast his vote. Let's quickly take that session. As soon as we have that ready, we'll let you know. And because I'm almost certain that the governor himself will want to make a comment or two. But there's something that I'd like to ask you. Had the voting process commenced by the time you got there, or people were just being arranged to fall in line? Oh dear. Well, I understand that we lost connection with Prof. But let's quickly go back to Ajebo, who is our correspondent who gave us a report earlier. Yes, Ajebo, please go ahead. What's the latest? We understand the governor is nearby. Ajebo, can you hear me? Please go ahead.
Okay, I can hear you now. Yeah, so I don't know, we're still waiting for the candidate of the APC and the incumbent governor to arrive polling unit 003 in Okelele in Ikogosi. However, as we're waiting, the crowd is still surging, people are still coming out, people are still trying to discharge their civic responsibility, and they even had to create another line. Earlier when I spoke to you, we had just one long queue, but now there's another queue now, and people are just coming. And when I also mentioned earlier about the combined security operatives monitoring this election, to my right you could see the immigration service officials. They are here. You could see them. We have we also have the DSS officials on ground at this venue. We have even EFCC officials. We also have the Nigerian Army, the NSCDC officials. So trying to ensure that there is no breakdown of law and order at this polling unit 003 in Ikogosi. But to also shed more light on this election, I have an observer here who will be speaking to us at this. So, your name, sir?
My name is Sebastian Anye. I'm the first vice president of the Nigerian Bar Association. We are here in our numbers all over the local government in Ekiti State to observe this election and report back to Nigerians what we saw and what we observed.
So far so good. What are your thoughts about the election?
So far so good. The turnout has been encouraging. People have been performing their civil responsibility in orderly manner. There have not been any problem. And I feel encouraged what I saw today.
So you told us earlier that you have your members across the 16 local government areas. So what news have you been getting from all those other areas, aside where we are now?
Well, I've accreditation started by 8:30, and voting just began. And so we called them, and they said voting just began. And because voting just began, we want to wait and hear a report from them, comprehensive report from them, if we can say exactly what's happening. Remember, Nigerians are waiting all over to hear from us, to see how the elections are conducted. So if you're in a hurry to give any report now, say it's peaceful or not peaceful, or not be doing Nigerians any service. And so what we think that we should exercise some patience, let's see how it goes, so that by that time we also get a report from other polling units, from other local governments, and tell Nigerians how peaceful or how peaceful election is being conducted, or how not peaceful is being conducted. But meanwhile, for so far, it has been so good.
Okay, what about the electoral officials, security operators? Have they been living up to expectation?
Well, like I said, this election is a litmus test for the next year general election. And so I can say that the soldiers are here, the immigrations are here, the police officers, and other arms are here. So far, they have conducted themselves well. For now, they have conducted themselves very well. But I wouldn't say what will happen in the next few hours. That's why I cannot draw a conclusion for now until the elections come to an end. I can say the election was peaceful or not peaceful. But for so far, they have conducted themselves to a level that one can say they are behaving well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Aya, you just listened to an observer, Sebastian Aya, who is monitoring this election. So just like I said earlier, he said we can't jump to conclusion now to know if the election is still peaceful, because it's still very early in the day and anything could happen. Just like what I said earlier, that the beavers machine is working now. We don't know what might happen later after now, but we'll keep our eyes on this election, and like my colleagues are across the states to bring you details of what is happening in the Ekiti governorship election.
Yeah, I have to tell you, you already jinxed the beavers, because when we spoke with Kumbi said that your word is already happening where she was. And I'm going to go back to her now. Right now, I don't even want to talk to you, because you are the one that seems to want to jinx our beavers. Well, let's go back to...
It's not happening here.
It's not happening there. So let's keep it that way, okay? So let's quickly go back to Kumbi, Abulade. I don't know what's the latest where you are right now, Kumbi. Maybe you want to first of all begin from what the candidate of the PDP was saying at that time when we couldn't hear him.
All right, so the candidate of the PDP actually expressed dissatisfaction for the entire voting process here at this polling unit in Ugele Arokon Ward. 006 polling units in the Ekiti local government area. He has cast his vote, but he said that the process, because of how the beavers hasn't been able to recognize some elderly persons, and he has charged the entire voting process useless. And so he actually left here in a very angry mood, but he said he was going to stick around and ensure that all his people exercise their franchise and cast their votes here. But I also do have an observer here, an election observer, who would also speak to us, because he has also been monitoring the process. And so he's going to tell us what he has seen so far. Good morning. What's your name, please? So what have you noticed or observed here today?
Oh, for some reason, Kumbi, we can't hear him. I hope he's not as angry as the PDP candidate, but from the we can't hear him. I hope that you can hear me. So, if there is a way we can readdress that particular process, we would like to very much understand exactly what the observer is saying, because his opinion is very important.
It's very valid. And he also seems, he was speaking so fast, he seems to be angry as well as something. Well, if the PDP candidate can be angry, which means there's a process, there's something to be annoyed about, and we will We will get that. But let's get to our political editor, Sheon Okibaloye, who's also waiting to give us an update of this process where he is. Sheon, good morning. If you can hear me, give us a quick update where you are. All right. Right, pardon me. I'm guessing Sheon will join us a little bit later. He's still trying to get ready with his updates. But we can go back to Kumbi Aboluwade. Kumbi, if you can hear me, let's have those words from the election observer that you were speaking to right now.
Okay, so the election observer actually said that he has noticed that some areas, some polling unit areas are compromised. And that's just like this one, which the Beavers isn't working. He doesn't understand the process and what INEC is doing during this election, because, they've assured us that this election will go on smoothly. They are ready, prepared, and all of that. But this is the election day, and we're seeing somewhat an entirely different thing from what they had promised us. But right here, we've also spoken to some voters who have also said that they are not quite happy with how the process is going. And they also made reference to years back and how this particular polling unit is always, having issues during election period, during election day. And so they're not happy, and they're calling on INEC to immediately rectify this. We've seen some elderly persons. I even had to speak with one elderly woman who said she wasn't feeling too fine, but that she came out to exercise her franchise and civic responsibility, but that she's going to still wait and see if she's able to cast a vote at the end of the day. But so far so good, we're still here. I mean, a process that started somewhat good, orderly, became, disorderly, and people start shouting. The presiding officers, started getting voters to line up because they were agitating and saying that they can't go on with this process and they feel cheated, the entire process. So that's what they are right now at this particular polling unit. But just right across, we're far off from here. It's polling unit 008. I did observe that some persons, some elderly persons, were being assisted by, individuals who are also voters. But yeah, we also noticed or observed a large turnout of voters at that polling unit. I don't know if you can hear some voices right behind me, but this is the mood of voters at this polling unit. They are tired. They say they've waited for more than 1.5 hours, and they are yet to, cast their votes. The process started at 8:30, but I think up to 10 persons have, cast their vote at this polling unit because we've been here monitoring the process.
Right. Kumbi, what have you spoken with any of the INEC officials? Have they been able to offer any explanation as to why the Beavers machine or the voting process is stalled in that way, or why the Beavers machine is not recognizing some people?
So I did speak to the presiding officer, and she made me understand that it has to do with the picture of the picture on the voters card as to the picture that they registered with, that they ought to have updated, especially for the elderly persons. They ought to have updated their pictures on the website, official website, before the election, and that is why Beavers isn't recognizing them. But these voters are not having it. They are not taking the excuse because they said that the picture is not far off from what they actually look like currently. So they're still waiting and seeing if they can rectify it as soon as possible.
Wow. So, but I hope, you talked about a bit of unruliness a little while ago. Is it because of the process and all of that, or there's something else?
No, because of the process, totally because of the process.
Okay. But I'm glad about something that you said, Kumbi. You said that even though the PDP candidate complained about the process, he said it was, I don't know the word that you used, but he still went ahead and voted, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm pretty sure we'll be getting more from you as events unfold today. Thank you again, Kumbi.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, that's that for now.
Yeah. But let's just, it's an ongoing process, as you all know. It's an all-day thing, this election coverage. So we will be updating you from time to time. We have our team there, as you've seen. We still have our political editor, Shion Kibaloye, on ground. He will still give us his update. So, stick around with Channel CV. We're not quite done with this Ekiti election.
We're just scratching the surface.
Yes, certainly.
Well, of course, a number of other things will still come, today. While the election process is on, we want to bore you, would we? Now, so one of the things that we also should pay attention to, that even though we are having numbers of people come out at the various polling units, women and children, according to the CEO of the Nigerian Women Trust Fund, coming out to vote en masse. The elderly also coming out to vote. We need to study what they did in Ekiti State to get every segment of the society to come out to vote. And perhaps one lesson to learn is it's one thing for people to come out to vote. It's another thing altogether for them to be able to vote. Now that the BVAS is not recognizing some people's evolving faces. Well, Shehu, a quick update for you. I'm pretty sure you are aware, but just a quick update for you. We've spoken with Itopa Kuteyi. We've spoken with Kumbi as well. And what we understand is in one area, the BVAS is working perfectly. But in some other areas, the BVAS isn't working so perfectly. I want to hope that where you are, the BVAS will be afraid of you enough to work sensibly.
The Beavers was too scared to work earlier on. It came late to the party, but eventually it started working. Hi, Ayo. Hi, Joke. It's good to see you guys. We're still here at the St. Michael's Primary School in Mobi area, Olushosu in Ekiti. It's polling unit 1 in his registration area, and we've been monitoring the proceedings even before the exercise began. And let's tell you that earlier on we had a situation where the Beavers machine refused to work because it wasn't unlocked just yet. And it was way past the time stipulated for the exercise. And he stated on the Beavers machine that it won't work until about 8:30 a.m. until 10 p.m. today. But it was rectified just about 20 minutes later. But so far, what we've seen is that the exercise began and the queue is still long. It's a long line of voters waiting to be accredited. Don't forget, what we have adopted for the last few years in election cycle in Nigeria is what we've now called the simultaneous voting and accreditation, where you get accredited and you vote immediately. This was not the case some 8-10 years ago, where you first get accredited, you wait in the line for you to vote, but this time around you get accredited, then you go on, you go ahead and vote. That is the system which we have adopted. A few changes to the electoral law. You remember that it was Electoral Act 2022 and amended to the Electoral Act 2026. And there are a few changes that have been made into that exercise, but a few updates that we have for you. And let's get to speak with some of the observers who have themselves been moving around town. One of the members, in fact, the program director on one of the leadership of Yaga Africa, who themselves, they've deployed several observers to this election. Cynthia Ibamalu joins us on Channels Television. Cynthia, thanks so much indeed for joining us on Channels Television.
Yeah, thank you, and greetings from Ekiti.
Give us an understanding of what you have seen so far. I understand that in the next few hours, we should be expecting a statement, a report from Yaga. What is the status of things as we speak?
Well, actually, we're issuing one very soon, and that is to focus on what we observed, especially with respect to discrepancies in political parties on the result sheet and the ballot paper. I think it's important to note that ordinarily, only parties contesting ought to be on the ballot paper. But if you look around, what our observers have shown from different locations is the ballot paper, you have 19 parties. Then the result sheets, you have 15 political parties. And so, before we went to the polls, INEC's list of candidates was 14 political parties contending. And so the question is, why this discrepancy and the need for INEC to issue a statement on, one, providing a clarity on what the officials should do in the field and how the vote should be counted after the polls.
So, a few changes to the electoral law, and as a lawyer, one will imagine that automatically will interpret to a few changes here and there. Have you observed any significant difference in what the election used to be and the differences as far as the law is concerned?
Well, they had one major change was the use of downloadable PVC, but it looks like it's not being applied in this election, Ekiti elections. In fact, in the pre-election space, we had met with INEC, and INEC had said they were not ready to implement that here, because that was one of the things we wanted to observe. So we look forward to that in Osun. The other fundamental change is with respect to the results. So there is now a process of validation of results using the EC8A, that's the electronic EC8A. And so we're watching out for that from 2:30 to see how that is implemented. We expect that every polling unit will transmit results to the IREF. And so, there's a partnership with channels. We'll also be tracking that, how the IREF functions in these particular elections. But for now, most of the observation we have are still the generic, because most of the new introductions that were made in the Electoral Act will become effective from the close of polls once counting begins.
Give me a comparison, because it's still is yet midday, and the poll is just about 2 hours old, and not so much I've been seeing, but from the observers that you've sent across town, I know you have the watching the vote system that you have set up. What do we, so compared to the pre-election report and the situation that you have presently, what can you tell us?
I would say actually generally we've observed reasonably, or rather a reasonable early commencement of votes, which is impressive compared to Anambra that we just had last year, and even the FCT that we had in earlier in the year in February. So I would say there's been an improvement with opening of polls, not 100%, but we've gotten, we're sticking our data, but at least close to 70% of polls were opened from 8:30, so between 8:30 to 9 a.m., which I think is impressive.
I think Ekiti people are really making a lot of mark.
Yes.
PVC collection.
PVC 97.1%. That's impressive.
Amazing. And now, if early commencement of vote, well, that's on INEC.
That's on INEC. But the voters were also turning out. Like in the morning, when I was moving around, just in Ekiti, anyways, voters were already at the polls from 8:30, which shows that there was that level of interest to come out. But now we don't know what the numbers would look like.
I got here 6:20. 6:20 a.m. And guess what?
You had people.
They're not as much, but people already
were waiting.
Here.
Which is a good thing, because it shows some level of interest in exercising that constitutional right to vote. And I think it's important that other states watch, because when you come out on time, you can then make that demand on the Electoral Commission to ensure early commencement of polls across board.
What do you make of the conduct of security operatives? You've seen them around town?
I've seen them around town. I've seen the police. I've seen the...
Are they walking the talk?
So far, so good. But it's from 12 noon. Normally, early morning is still reasonably calm.
The day is still young.
Yeah, it's still young. The weather, the sun is not out yet. So from noon.
What a fabulous weather.
Yes, hopefully it doesn't rain today.
I hope nature hears us and stay calm as it is.
Nature needs to stand with our democracy today.
And stay calm.
Yes, but the security personnel, the ones who've seen, they've been quite professional. At least as an observer, they've been very cordial and polite when we ask them questions. We've not had anyone stop us on the road. Once they saw our tag and our car sticker, they allowed us to move.
What about the conduct of voters? We've talked about INEC, early deployment, which is good in terms of logistics. Logistics used to be INEC grace that it never had. But if it's working now, that means a lot has changed. Maybe Joash Amopito is learning something. And the security operatives you've spoken about them, the voters, the attitude to this exercise. What do you think? 4 years ago you were here.
Yes, and the years before that.
Yeah.
Comparatively, I would say one of the things I've seen is more or less lack of patience. Most of the polling units have been a bit overcrowded, so people are not waiting to stand in the queue. But for me, I interpret that as enthusiasm. So I wouldn't look at it negatively, because even though I know it's important, you stand in the queue. I've seen voters who are coming to check their names on the voter register posted, and then you see every one of them trying to ensure they are at the right polling unit. So for me, I think it's encouraging to see voters come out in their numbers. However, there will be more value in better crowd control. One of the observations we're seeing is that we have mostly 3 INEC officials deployed, but by INEC's guidelines it ought to be 4, because one person ought to do the man and crowd control. That's how the structure is. You know, the APO3 ought to do the crowd control and management, and that's where there's a lot, because if you have that crowd control officer, it helps the crowd maintain, you know, they stand on their queue. But once you don't have them, because the other 3 are focused on the administration of the process. Some places police, they are helping to manage the crowd, but ordinarily INEC official, they should be one managing the crowd, confirming that people are at their right polling unit, so that they don't find out when they go to
before I allow you to Cynthia, a colleague of mine who is covering election in Ekiti area said she observed a situation where other voters were helping some other voters to through the process of voting. Legally speaking, is that allowed?
No. That is actually an offense, because the idea is open secret ballots and is one person, one vote, which is what happens when there's overcrowding. Actually, one of the polling is on my way here. I can't remember the name. In Ado, I could see voters. It's like a community engagement, but that's not how it should be. It's one person.
I think INEC need to move quickly on that.
So the challenge is this positioning of the setup. The voting booth ought to be set somewhere else where only the voter can have access, and then the ballot box set somewhere else. So the setup of polling units, I think, is a major challenge we've seen in this election. Better setup minimizes community voting and ensures that it's one person, one vote.
All right. Thank you. Cynthia Mbamalu, who is one of the leadership of Yaga Africa, covering this election. Thank you so much, indeed, Cynthia, for joining us.
Thank you. I keep doing the good work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let me see if I can take you in 2 minutes across the polling environment. You know, I like to do this for you. Anything. I knew you were going to say thank you, but come with me. Let me show you what is going to look like right there. Earlier on, I showed you how it wasn't working, but can I show you now how perhaps things are working right there on the polling in the polling unit, where voters are already getting themselves ready. And just if I can do that just in about a minute, of course you can see for yourself. Please wash your feet. So you can see there seems to be some rowdiness, and one wonders exactly what the problems are. We see the elderly here, but people are probably getting a bit agitated. But come close so you see how this exercise is playing out. For those of you who are at home, if you're a first-time voter, you do not really know how elections are conducted, this is up close and almost personal with what the voters are experiencing. They've disaggregated the line now, so we have the larger percentage of the queue over there. There's a line behind it, and of course, there are people who have moved over to this side. So just for a moment, I wanted to see how this works. So this is the first process. Once anybody who gets in the line, you give your PVC to the official who has the BVAS machine. The PVC is confirmed across the reading sensor on the BVAS machine, just for you to know whether or not the voter belongs in this polling unit. And once that is approved and accredited, there is a picture of biometric verification that is done. Once that is done and that is confirmed, you know the voter is ready to go. So what comes next after this is somewhat the end of the process, because this is the electronic mode of getting, you know, we talk about the accreditation process. So you've got to verify on different layers: biometrics, facial, and the card. These are the layers of verification that goes into what Beavers stands for. And so your picture, what has been recorded in the Beavers, has to work. So when you're taking this picture or taking the fingerprint, everything has to match. If it doesn't, it tried over and over again. It looks like it didn't work at the first time or the first try. The man is trying yet again, and if it's not working, it's just got to work, because the biometrics, the facial recognition, all of this effort has got to work. If it doesn't work, there's a problem. They cannot go ahead. So there's another official, maybe a coordinator, who is coming here to assist. They say it's not a rocket science, but it could be a rocket science sometimes when these things are failing. It's just got to work. And you need to see how this works. I promise you just that I'm going to show you how this works. So that's a biometric feature, the facial recognition feature on the device, and it seems not to be recognizing the lady. So she's got to clean her face, dab her face. Maybe she had a different hairstyle when she was captured. Or what exactly do you think the problem was? Why was it not recognizing her face?
No, it could be that she has a lot of makeup on. So if she has a lot of makeup, she needs to go and wash the face, come back, then do the recapture, and it will capture her. It was not aligning before.
So you can hear the officials telling us maybe the reason why it wasn't really working. So the lady is gone ahead now. She's got a makeup different from when she was captured earlier on, and now as soon as she goes and they cross-check her name across the register manually, maybe she will be allowed to go through the process. But if you look at what is going on right here, the ballot paper is right here. The ballot paper is being stamped and verified right here, and the official will have to append his signature, and so the finger is marked and getting ready to cast the ballot. And so there she goes. She gets the cue. And look at this lady right here. She gets to go behind to cast the ballot to thumbprint, and when that is done, is open secret ballot system. And so when that is done, she then comes here and drop it right here. This is the end point of all the process, where the ballot goes in, and that is the process on and on and on and on. Apologies, ma'am. And that's how they go on and on and on and on until the last person. The law is that until the last person gets through the process, this is not yet over. But look, Ayo and Joke, this is what goes on around here. I just got to bring everyone closer to the process so you can see for yourself how this whole exercise pans out. It's a rigorous one. It's an interesting one. This is the essence of our democracy. Might be tedious, but we just get to go through all of these for the sake of the people of this country.
You know, there's one question that plays on my mind sometimes. Do the security officials themselves vote during general elections? I don't know. Well, I don't even know if you are able to vote yourself.
Yeah. well, to be honest with you, I've not had opportunity to vote for the last almost 16, 17 years, because a few times my registration area is not where I work. So on election day, I've always been on election duty as long as I can remember. So this has always been the problem. So, and the same thing for these police officers. But you know, part of what they're saying to review the law is that essential officers should be able to vote before the election, so that the gap is too much. There are a lot of people who don't get to vote because they are on duty on election day.
Well, let's hope that gets done one of these days. Thank you so much, Seun, for the work that you're doing, and we trust that you get. So you are one of the 3% that's collected their PVCs in Ekiti that may not be.
We'll never get to use it. By the way, my PVC is still around somewhere in Ifakojaye in Lagos.
Thank you, Seun. We'll get back to you shortly. Okay, so we'll take a short break now. There's something we need to bring to your awareness. When we return, it's about something that usually should happen beyond fatherhood. Right back at you. Thank you so much for staying with us. While the Ekiti elections are still going on, by the way, if you have not decided to go vote, now is the time.
If you are in Ekiti.
Yes, if you are in Ekiti, because you are not just voting for now, you are voting
for the future.
For the future.
At least the next 4 years future.
And talking about future, I saw a video shortly. There's this guy on socials who makes videos who makes short interviews with billionaires all over the world. And he had one with Alhaji Aliko Dangote. And so the guy was asking him, what's the motivation for what he does? Oh, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this, I've done that. But what's the motivation for what you're doing? He said his motivation is legacy. That he's gone beyond doing business for money. It's now for legacy. I don't know whether it's that kind of legacy that the Meristem team wants to talk about this morning. But
yeah, but his legacy. You know what he has done with his daughters now? Yes.
He's not the one. He's not the subject matter.
I'm just saying legacy is part of the legacy. Beyond just being a father, but ensuring that, this fatherhood is beyond
this man says he's doing business for legacy. I say
but the legacy is there now. We can see what he's doing.
As we were saying. Well, we have two people from Meristem Trustees Limited here with us. Benjamin Amans is the Chief Operating Officer. He's here with us in the studio. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
As well as Vivian Bogu, who is Head Corporate Trust, Meristem Trustees Limited. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Well, since you are talking about beyond fatherhood, beyond being a father, let's start from the man. Okay. What's this about?
Thank you very much for that question. Fatherhood, we would like to think most times, for most men, is the ability to conceive and raise children. However, I think that the key question here is answering a question that life would answer for you if you fail to respond to. What would happen to my children in my absence? So legacy for me as a father would be my child being able to go to the schools that I would have envisaged him to attend, getting the training, getting the values, getting the cultural shaping that I would have intended him to have during my lifetime. So legacy is, in my absence, what outlives me? How does my love outlive me to result in an individual children that can speak to my contribution?
Okay, let me ask you. It's a secret. Is he here today because tomorrow is Father's Day?
So it was an intentional coincidence.
Oh, that is no longer a coincidence. That is a planned incident. Okay.
Yes. So, in line with how sentimental Father's Day is to people, we decided to use this opportunity to educate the public. So beyond the responsibilities fathers have towards their children's upbringing, they also need to think beyond today. They need to start thinking about tomorrow, thinking about securing their children's education, thinking about securing their dependent welfare. So beyond taking them for lunch today, you also want to ensure that tomorrow in your absence, they are actually able to continue with that style of living that they started with whilst you were still alive. So that's the whole idea behind us being here today. And also beyond securing their future, you also want to equip them with certain family values. You want to pass across certain legacies to ensure that even after this lifetime, the values you've instilled in them continues in your absence.
Right. And there are circumstances where men work tirelessly to secure the future of the children, dependents. Sometimes it's not just your biological children that you cater to, and then they do all that work and all that planning, and then when they're incapacitated, everything falls apart. What is missing? What have they failed to do in this circumstance?
Thank you, Joke. So most times people think, let me focus on building wealth today. Let me focus on accumulating wealth today. Let me ensure that I seize opportunities. When there's an investment opportunity, people want to up on it. When there's an opportunity to purchase a property, people want to immediately seize the opportunity to buy such properties, but they forget the fact that beyond today, they need to put plans in place to ensure that these assets that they're accumulating don't get into the wrong hands in the event of incapacitation, like you just mentioned. So what is missing is plan. People forget to plan. They forget to plan beyond today. So they need to put a well-structured plan in place that would ensure that these assets don't get into the wrong hands and get to the people who they want to intentionally ensure they get to. And the plan also includes ensuring that it doesn't cause issues in the family, even in their absence. We've heard of stories where people are fighting over their deceased loved ones' properties because the person did not put a plan in place. Even with as simple as a will, you're dictating how you want your assets distributed. But it clearly stated, whether or not it is contested, at least your intentions are clearly documented and spelled out that this is what daddy wanted, this is what grandpa wanted, and they would respect your wishes. So that desire is clearly documented. So what is missing is the plan. People forget to plan, and then there are times that people lose sight of their plans. So in the immediate, the conversation is still fresh in mind. They think, oh yes, what Merit's Trustees is talking about is actually very, very educative. Let me put something in place. And then after an hour after this session, they're like, they go back to their normal daily activities. They forget to put it into action. So planning and putting it into action is what is missing.
Okay, I'm going to assume that they will get a number they can call now so that you don't forget.
Oh, yes.
Just as you've said. But before, Mr. Amans, you know that we don't usually get Father's Day more than once. And it's a treasured one. In fact, there's this comedian, Ali Siddiq or something. He says that sometimes Father's Day is synonymous with World Toilet Day as well. I don't know why you put those two together. But let me ask you this. For those who want to consider this, so let's milk this Father's Day as much as we can before they have 2 or 3 Mother's Days in 1 year. Let's talk for those who are thinking of building this legacy. What are the practical steps that you think they can exploit as we celebrate Father's Day beyond fatherhood, and how can Merit's Trustees Limited help in that regard?
Thanks for that question. And yes, so a father listening to this, number 1 is to outline your objectives. Sit down and envisage the future you want for your child, right? You're tirelessly working, just like the question Joke set forth. You're tirelessly working at accumulating wealth. How do you intend to pass this on to the next generation, to your dependents? How do you intend to ensure that things are put in place to sustain the education, the lifestyle, healthcare of the children, right? So outline these objectives because they are very integral to putting in place the appropriate estate plan that is applicable to you. So what do I want to achieve, right? Be honest. Number 2 would be identify potential problem areas. Be honest with your situation. You have a polygamous arrangement. You have conflicts within the family. You have conflicting interests between wives, between children. You have potential disputes from extended family members who may want to scrabble over your assets in your absence. You have creditors. You own a business and you've heavily leveraged business, so you have potential creditors. These are all potential problem areas that you need to outline because, again, integral to conversations with a trusted fiduciary party. Finally, start that conversation with a trusted fiduciary party. How would Meristem help to achieve your objectives? Of course, like you rightly said, we are easy to access via our email, right? trustees@meristem.com. Have a conversation with us outlining this and would appropriately set out the tool that is applicable to your peculiar circumstance. For some fathers, we find that at the end of the day, what you just need to put in place may be a will. Depending on your circumstance, it may be a trust or a hybrid of both a will and a trust. Yeah. So
it's very easy to say plan. You agree with me, right? It's very easy to say plan. Some people have no idea what's first step to take. And please don't tell me call Meristem. Because the first, you're likely to tell the fellow, first of all, call. When you come, you'll now start asking the fellow, but he has no idea. So what are the considerations? Because when you say people should outline this, outline that, they remember how their fathers and mothers raised them. Then no mother or father ever sat them down to be asking them some questions. So what are the important considerations, the most basic, that the fellow should be thinking about right now?
So the most basic and easily relatable is what the individual family situation is. What are your family dynamics? Do you have a simple family, just yourself, your wife, and 2 or 3 kids? Or do you have a complex family where it's your nuclear family and then you have extended family who, even during your lifetime, are making trouble? So those are things that people need to sit back to think about. You also need to go back to whatever portfolio you use or whatever instruments you use in monitoring your investments. You need to go back to it to see what you've accumulated over the years, where you have legal interest, you have business interest. You need to look at your finances to see, this is what I have. In the event I'm no more here, who will be able to access it, and how would I ensure that it is easily accessible to them? So those are the thoughts they should have after this session before reaching out to us at Meristem Trustees Limited. Yes, so those are the conversations they should be having with themselves. Some of them should also consider having these conversations with their wives. So we've found out with our experience that people shy away from having these conversations because they think it's a death sentence. It's not necessarily a death sentence. Having this conversation is just you trying to plan ahead. It doesn't mean that if you put a will in place today, you're dying tomorrow. My oldest client is in his 90s and he's still very, very active. My first boss had a will in place when she was 25 and she's now in her 60s. So it's not a death sentence. It's a conversation we should have.
We're talking about Father's Day. And she's saying, talk to mommy.
Obviously, because mommy will help you plan.
Exactly.
I don't understand.
I think we're used to the
You can't make decision alone.
But let me come in here.
Well, I decided to marry her.
When you were talking the other time, you spoke about what was it that you were saying about how you put everything in place such that because you envisage problems with extended family, people who are going to squabble over assets and all that. By the time you're putting, and of course the creditors that will come calling at some point if they do, when you put like trust in place, for the children, some people do life insurance and all that, and then they put their children there as the beneficiaries just in case anything happens. Is any of those things eroded by the other? For instance, if the father, dies and he has trust for the children, he has a will in place for this, and then the creditors come calling, are they able to just, erode some of those things that are in place for other people just to get what accrues to them?
Okay, fantastic question.
Yeah.
So, simply put, estate planning, right, addresses three key issues: who gets what, how, and when. Now, for a trust arrangement, it addresses the issue of access to the assets by creditors. So a trust essentially ring-fences the assets that have been vested in the trust. So it means that it ensures, number one, it's a private arrangement. It means that creditors is a private arrangement. Number two, the assets are legally passed on to the trustee. So ownership changes from the father who has instituted the trust and the trustee who is holding the trust in the assets in trust on behalf of the beneficiaries. So that circumvents access, even knowledge by creditors or individuals who have the likelihood of instituting disputes, right? So that takes care of that. In hybrid circumstances where a will is required, there are certain assets that can't be vested in a trust. So your retirement savings, benefits, your pensions, those are assets that cannot be vested in trust. And we speak to that by use of what we call a pour-over will. So for those assets that can't be vested in the trust, a pour-over will is the tool with which they can be poured over, so to speak, saying that, okay, these assets, the proceeds, cash balances, flow into the trust upon my demise, right? So that sort of takes care of issues of creditors, right? Once the assets have been vested in another party, say Meristem trustees, no creditor is coming to there's really nothing to go after once those assets are vested in the trustee. So that secures the interests of the survivors.
Yeah, that's great.
So how then does because the beneficiaries may be aware of the debt, so is there any chance that those creditors, what do you call it, will come after the beneficiaries?
Yeah.
So again, the beautiful thing with a trust structure is a well thought out structure, right? Even a will. Now, both documents or both instruments can expressly delineate the wishes of the father that is putting whichever estate planning product in place. Now, except you're an unscrupulous individual, the appropriate thing to do as a responsible father would be to have provisions with respect to treatment of debts that you've undertaken. Okay. So the assets, of course, the assets are ring-fenced for the purpose of protecting from the likelihood of disputes, litigation. However, we are making it's easy to make provisions in the trust deed or in the will with respect to how creditors can be treated. So funds from if it's a trust that's been put in place, funds from the trust account can be used to pay off the creditors. Again, taking off any pressure or burden from the beneficiaries. If it's a will, you can state, I wish that such and such bank of such and such financier be paid off with the funds in ABC bank accounts. So those documents can speak to how you treat your credit.
And Vivian, if I could come in here, the common belief amongst Nigerians, old money trusts, billionaires are the only ones that can, put those things in place. You just mentioned earlier that, someone had a will as early as age 25. does it matter that, you know, you have to be a billionaire to do these things? How easy is it for regular families, you know, middle-class people, even people from lower to middle class to actually put in these things without, you know, some of them say their salaries and whatever is hardly enough for them to live. So how can they afford, you know, to set up these future plans? Let me put it that way.
Thank you very much, Joke. So I believe it's a misconception when people say only the wealthy can put a plan in place or leave a legacy behind. So over the years as trustees, we've identified different estate planning tools that clients can adopt. So depending on what category you fall under, you can decide to go with a trust arrangement, you can decide to go with a will. So we render services to ultra high net worth, affluent clients, and those who are still just starting life, for a lack of better word, working professionals, those who are salary earners. So with as little as the little thousands you have in your bank account, or the little thousands or millions that you're saving in your retirement savings account, it is enough for you to put a plan in place. So this is why we have what is known as a simple will service. A simple will service is targeted at the lower class, middle class individuals who do not have all of the billions in the world or all of the millions in the world, but you have something in your bank account and you know that should anything happen to you tomorrow, there's someone who depends on you who can actually benefit from it. So why not put a will in place? Our comprehensive will service also is targeted at these individuals. You have a car that you know that your child would require to go to school. Why not put it in a will? You have a bank account that has a little money inside, a little savings. Why not put it in your will? Your mutual funds, your investments, your even if it's just one plot of land, you can put it in a will. So you don't need to be a Dangote or an $10 before you consider putting an estate plan in place. And then with time, it's also not a rigid structure or a rigid plan. With time, you can update as your life changes. So as you're moving higher in life from lower class to middle class, and you get to that $100 level, you can update whatever it is. You can update whatever plan you have in place to ensure that you secure the assets you've now accumulated from between the last time you started and where you are at the moment. So there's something for everyone. There's something for everyone.
You are not head of corporate for now.
But let me just sink this one in too. You know, some people, maybe you realize, when is it too late to realize? For instance, a lot of people, maybe in the corporate world, you retire maybe at the age of, what is it now?
60?
Is it 60?
Yeah.
And maybe you're 50 plus, and you say, oh, I've not put this in place. I don't have much work life in that sense left, where you have regular salary coming in. How much can you do in like maybe the 6-7 years left of your regular working life when you will now probably be dependent on all the money you've saved to be living the rest of your life?
Yeah, so at the same time, whilst you are living, you're trying to put a legacy in place for your dependents or your loved ones. You're also putting plans in place to take care of your own self. So putting the trust in place doesn't necessarily mean that it's just for your children or your grandchildren.
Right.
You can also be beneficiary to that trust arrangement.
Okay.
So most times in practice, you'll find out that the people setting up the trust are the primary beneficiaries.
Right.
And then the only time their dependents come into the picture to benefit is in the event of their incapacitation or demise. So those are categorized as secondary beneficiaries.
Right.
So as much as possible, start early, but it doesn't matter where you are in life at the moment. You can always start at whatever point. Right. And again, remember, it is wealth you've accumulated. So whilst the wealth you're building at the moment are in your name, you can transfer them into whatever structure you decide to go with at the end of the day.
Right. I'm thinking, I know you want to ask a question. I'm just thinking.
No, go ahead.
If we're saying, we're talking about Father's Day, your fatherhood.
Please say that again.
Isn't this not even putting pressure on the father in this conversation? Is it not putting pressure of planning, doing that? It's supposed to be a fun time, relaxation. I mean,
there are no holidays.
No.
On Father's Day,
oh, come on.
you are the father. You are the one that is going to take them out. You are the one that is going to pick.
Not all the time.
You pay for your surprises. I mean,
Are you? You can
they
put
plan a surprise party for
so,
you.
you
pay.
So you can put
Can you
the Father's Day celebration fund in trust so that you can access it. It won't be a burden.
Thank you for that.
Put it in trust.
These are the people that
mind blown.
Put it in trust. In 1 year, you want to access that fund to celebrate Father's Day.
Thank you for that.
Really simple. It's simple.
Right?
Wow. Mind blowing, right? He's speechless, honestly.
Fathers don't take any breaks, right?
And mothers too.
Like he rightly said, there are no holidays for fathers. But then we'll still pay for the trust, in spite of the fact that it's designated Father's Day funds.
I don't understand. They plan a surprise party for you. You pay.
Okay, how about this? How about Meristem Trustees gives a discount to all fathers who come to us for their estate planning objectives?
Please write that down. Write it down.
50%? Yeah, you haven't told us. You have only given us an email address. Is that the only way that
so our email address is trustees@meristemng.com. The number, we have a dedicated phone number as well, but I don't want to mix it up.
Okay.
But for now, people can focus on trustees@meristemng.com.
Don't worry, we can send email from our phone. Are you on socials?
Yes, we are. We are on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we are on LinkedIn as Meristem NG. So you can just Google Meristem NG or Meristem Securities.
Okay. You have said that a father can start planning at practically any time. She has also asked you the question about the billionaires and all of that. Perhaps a thing to consider now, Mr. Aman, is she talked about estate. By the way, I should correct that. When people hear estate,
they think of buildings.
Real estate.
They think of buildings. Yeah.
It's the estate they are living in.
No.
So please describe your estate first.
Your estate is everything you own. So your estate comprises of your bank accounts, your investments in mutual funds, your investments in Nigeria Treasury bills, commercial papers, your real estate investments, your antiques, your artworks, whatever it is that you hold there, that you have legal interest in, consists of your estate. So everything you hold there that you also have sentimental value towards is your estate.
Including your phone.
Including your phone. Oh yes, including your phone.
You put your phone on.
Oh, you can put your phone in your wheel.
You buy a phone today as a man. The inheritor is next door. It's just value.
Next door. Next door is too much of a barrier.
Next pillow.
Thank you.
Does Meristem, how about your pension funds?
Yes.
Does Meristem also administer pension funds? Are you in that space as well?
So I talked about the fact that just for clarity, we have various estate planning. Thank goodness she has explained what estate is. So we have estate planning tools, right, that range from trust to wills. And I talked about certain assets that cannot be vested in the will, one of which are your retirement savings accounts, the cash balances in your retirement savings accounts, pensions. So yes, the treatment for such kind of assets is by utilizing a will, right? So yes, we make accommodation for those kind of assets using a will.
Okay. There are some people who don't know how to access their retirement savings now from that PFA, So
I'm not one of them.
You are not one of them. Okay. We're glad, that you are able to make it to educate people today, because of all the fun topics that people like to talk about, death is not one of them.
Never.
I was hosting a radio show one day, and one cleric calls in. My name is this. I want this song. It was a request song. I want this. Okay, we are still also talking about death. He said, no, I don't want to talk about it. You are a cleric. He said, please, I don't want to talk about it. So it's not a fun topic.
No.
But it's an important,
yes, it is.
topic. just to confirm what you said the other time. Putting up a will does not mean you die tomorrow.
No.
In fact, some people have this belief that once you hear will, hey, Jesus.
They think you're wishing them bad.
In fact,
or they think
merely
you've seen
putting
the
it down,
future.
you yourself as jinx yourself.
Yeah.
You know, that's not what the conversation is here. Thank you very much for coming here. Mr. Benjamin Amans is Chief Operating Officer, Meristem Trustees Limited. Let me be the first to wish you Happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Happy Father's Day.
We will not wish you.
Happy.
And Vivian Bogo is Head Corporate Trust, Meristem Trustees Limited. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for also directing fathers to go and talk to your wife. Okay. We will want to have a conversation with one of our colleagues. Elections are going on in Ekiti, as we have said repeatedly. Yeah. However, there is also a by-election in River State going on right now. We would like to talk to our correspondent, Charles Oporom, to tell us exactly what it is. Because
I think the Southeast senatorial by-election.
Yes.
Yeah.
The noise in Ekiti is not allowing people to hear. As they say on the street, see road. You know, so no one is really so much concerned. So, Charles, how are you doing? Give us a quick update. What's happening today? Ekiti is heavy in the news, but then there's River State. Tell us what exactly is happening and what informed this and, you know, the whole shebang.
Okay, good morning, Ayo. Good morning to everybody in the studio. So, right now, I am in Bukana local government area. Here is called Bera Town. This is Ward 12. Behind me, of course, elections are happening. It's the Rivers Southeast senatorial by-election. Recall that the senator representing this particular district, the late Senator Barry Nadam Piggy, passed on earlier this year, and that seat became vacant. So it's part of the by-elections that INEC is conducting to fill that particular vacancy. Now, this senatorial district has a grand total of 7 local governments, including Gukana, Kana, Eleme, Tai, Oyibo, Andoni, and Opobonkoro local governments area. So 7 local governments are having these elections as of this moment. So we came all the way from Port Harcourt, and on the way we've been coming, you know, up till this particular place where we are. Voting is happening behind me. As you can see, it's happening. Everywhere is calm. So far, so good. We did speak to some of the voters. They complained. One person complained that it took him a long time. It took him 30 minutes to be accredited. You know, but then eventually, I went to the presiding officer and said, "Why is it taking so long?" And he said, "Okay, hold on. We are going to perform, you know, accreditation in front of you, and you'll see." So I started my stopwatch. When the next person came in, it took a grand total of 11 seconds. So I don't know why it happened that one person took so long, and then subsequently, it's now happening very quickly. But that's the situation here in the Bukana local government. Ayo.
Well, I'm glad that you talked about the beavers, because we had asked it says an average of 2-3 minutes, and then it's all done. Now you're saying that this accreditation happens in 11 seconds. That's pretty much, that's a very, very good one. Now, you've also shown us the fact that people are coming out en masse to be a part of the process and all. I hope, other than the beavers and the issues that you have raised, anything that's peculiar that you think is important for people to be aware of before we go back to Ekiti?
Well, there's nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing out of the ordinary, because security hasn't been a challenge. There is good security presence, and we've not seen or heard about any incident here. You know, of course, there are other local governments. I am currently in one. There are 6 other local governments where it's happening, but then our colleagues are also spread out as well. There's really been nothing of the sort. Though it rained heavily this morning. There was heavy downpour this morning, and I don't know if I would say that the downpour affected the turnout. But it rained heavily this morning.
It's a good one. I'm pretty sure that we're going to get more from you, Charles, on that one. But let's quickly dash to Ekiti State, where the governor has arrived at his polling unit and activities are agog. of course, as you would expect, a host of people. I think he's also there with his wife from the feed that we can see, getting ready to cast his vote and all. As soon as we have a clean shot, we'll let you have it, because we've seen him arrive with his entourage. Security officials, of course, are all around him as well, and things are pretty much, well, from what we heard from Ajebo earlier, it would seem like, things are quite smooth there, and we should be getting to the governor in a moment. But your thoughts? The one in Rivers State is quite an interesting one. It seems stable, right?
Yeah, it seems very stable. Although I would wonder, well, there's a saying in Yoruba, like, an inanimate object cannot talk. So we don't know why the Beavers machine took someone 30 minutes to get accredited, and then took another fellow all of 11 seconds.
It's all the Itope's fault. But let me hope that his comment is not validated at this particular polling unit that you're looking at. As the policemen you see around there, I think they're part of the governor's detail. He's there now to cast his vote, and they're clearing the path for His Excellency to come in. As soon as that happens, I'm pretty sure that the needful is going to be done. I'm looking forward to seeing Ajebo. And I'm also certain that, usually the governor would want to say a thing or two.
Yeah, certainly he would.
Especially because he's also a candidate.
Yes.
And it will be good for us to ask him what his, I don't know if it's okay, so ask him, if I could, I would, what he thinks of the opinion of the PDP candidate. Because at that polling unit, in fact, from what Kumbi told us,
there's always a problem.
It's a culture. In that environment. Is that a deliberate plan to frustrate or disenfranchise opposition on the one hand? And then that's not the only place. Remember that when we spoke with the CEO of Nigerian Women Trust Fund, she also said that there was an initial hiccup, the Beavers there, and there's a lot of women and children there.
And then again, when we think of it, the PDP also held sway in Ekiti State for a while.
Yeah.
And that place being, I think that's Ikere, right? Wherever Kumbi is. The PDP candidate being there does not necessarily mean, in my opinion, that it's a plan to frustrate the opposition, because it's probably just him as a PDP candidate that's voting there. Other PDP candidates will have come from other districts, so we don't know what will have happened. So it was probably peculiar with that particular area. But we need to find out why they're always having problems.
Yeah.
Is it a problem of...
We need to even validate that fact.
Yes.
Because that's the comments of the people. Okay. Well, Ajebo, are you still there? I beg your pardon.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still
so
here.
give us a quick update. What's happening right now? I hope the voting process is still going on while we wait for His Excellency.
Yes, the governor is here with his wife, and he arrived about 3 minutes ago, and he's on the queue. He's waiting to vote. It's just there's someone behind, someone in front of his wife, then he is standing behind his wife, and so we're just waiting for him to vote. And people are here. There's a large crowd here. Just waiting for the governor to vote. We also have observers, security operatives, everyone here, a lot of pushing and all, So we're just waiting to see him vote with his wife.
Interesting that the governor didn't cut to the front of the line, but he decided to stay on the line like everybody else. Because what we saw, I hope I am not getting it wrong, well, what we saw with Kumbi was as if the PDP candidate cut to the front of the line, or maybe because he really just wanted to know what the problem was.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
And then, to get the people to do what...
He needed to show some sort of leadership, I believe.
Yes.
His people.
Well, yes, it's good. He's a leader, whichever way you look at it. So the voting process is going on. Ajebo, go ahead.
Yeah, no, voting is ongoing. People are still there, and the governor and his wife, they're still on the queue. They're waiting, actually.
I hope your comment has not been validated.
The BVAS machine is still working perfectly. Yeah, it's still working.
Even if it's...
There's an elderly man just standing right in front of the BVAS machine, taking his own turn.
Okay.
And I think after that, there'll be a next person before the Ekiti First Lady and then the governor.
Oh, okay.
Right, and Itokwe, you know, when Kubi was reporting to us, as she said, the major issue at the beginning, at the commencement of voting, was that the BVAS machine could not recognize elderly people. Some of the excuses from the INEC officials was that maybe perhaps their pictures were not updated. Maybe they were looking a little younger when they first registered. I'm sure there are elderly people where you are, and possibly they also don't have the exact same picture that they registered with, you know, as their faces would show. So why don't we have that problem of, you know, validating elderly people where you are?
Just not quite long while we were waiting for the governor. We had two experiences like that.
Right.
But the electoral officials told them to wait for someone to get accredited first. Then she came back and it worked. The second person, the same thing. So they've not had, that was the only issue they had. But once somebody comes first and gets accredited, then the person will come back and the elderly person gets accredited. The only issue we had at the beginning was at about 8:25 or 8:20, they wanted to start voting and accreditation. But because I think the BVAS machine had been programmed to start by 8:30, so they had to wait till 8:30 before they started. So that was the only issue we had then. But since 8:30, it's been working fine.
There was another funny issue at Inikere where the INEC official was alluding that a woman perhaps had too much makeup on.
Yes.
And she had to go and she was asked to go and wash her face. Perhaps that was why the machine. Ekiti. That was perhaps why you know, the machine could not recognize her. Any issues like that where you are?
The makeup, no, we've not had issues like that. Maybe people around the Ikogosi are more serious with discharging their civic responsibility.
It's actually a very, I love what I'm seeing, Itokwe, and maybe from experience you may want to share with us.
Can you see it on your screen now? The first lady is about to vote now.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So this is the first lady.
Yes.
Okay. So the process is ongoing. The BVAS is working actively, you have said. Itokwe. So please.
Yeah, can you also see the governor on the queue?
Yes.
I can't quite see him.
Well, his wife is there. So
his wife is there. We can't quite see him, but I'm sure.
So. Wonderful. See, thank God the BVAS worked. Itokwe, you should go and consult your
oracle.
Your oracle again. Okay, that's the.
Okay, you can see the governor. Yeah.
That's the governor about to be. Please go ahead, Itokwe, and talk us through the process. What's going on and what should come next and all.
Okay. There's a kind of there's a rope, just like the normal, just trying to prevent people from clustering the voting area. The governor enters, or any other voter, like every other voter, will enter this area, and you go straight to the electoral official with your voter's card. Then you get accredited with the BVAS machine. Then if the BVAS machine sees and recognizes you, then you go to the next person and get clarifies your name. Then you get the voter's card. You go to the booth, you also vote, then put in your voters paper into the box there, then you leave. Just like I said earlier, within you just see within 3-4 minutes you're done and you're out of this place.
I'm not sure you had your stopwatch on, so you can't really see. Okay, so the First Lady has got her
sometimes the list. I think what really takes time is checking the name on the list.
Okay.
You know, you have to go through. You have this polling unit. You have about 668 registered voters. So you have to go through the list. You know, from top to bottom before you. So I think that's the only place you spend a little time. Then afterwards, every other one is seamless.
You see, again, you have to go check your crystal ball. The BVAS is working perfectly. Well, it's working perfectly in the Kogosi, but that area where Kumbi was said that okay, and then the First Lady is come to drop her ballot papers in the ballot box, and she is done. I hope we'll be able to get a word or two from the governor. Vote casts that done
and dusted.
Way out. So yes, I hope we'll be able to get a word from His Excellency. All right. Well, as you can see, so many people want to have a word with the with His Excellency. So at this election, he is a candidate, and don't worry, we're there, as you can see, and everyone is trying to block everyone from getting whatever it is that they need to get to be able to speak with the governor. Oh gosh, this is not
perhaps, you know, by the time he does talk, I mean, from what the Itope has been telling us so far, the process was smooth and obviously.
Okay. Electoral Acts. This is the election side the electoral law, and it has possibly INEX processes. So it was seamless, and I'm satisfied with what the INEX is.
Journalists doing what's
yes. You know, we talk about the 5 W's and the H.
Yes.
The things that make up news. Who is doing what, where, when, why, and how. The who is the one that all the journalists are clamoring to hear from him, and all that is done. And I'm thinking that maybe his aides are already saying, you know what, it's about time.
But they should know that people would want to talk to him.
Yes,
so
but
I have a problem with aides.
But we should problem with.
There's no order. They always want to prevent. I mean, it's been smooth process.
Yeah.
So,
right.
And you can almost predict what the governor is going to say. And the process was smooth.
Well, I'm
not there. Machine was working. No, but because of what our reporters have been telling us, that's what I'm saying. So you can almost predict what he's going to say. The process was smooth. The Beavers machine works very well. There was peace, security. You know.
Well, they say that politics is a game.
It's a game. You remove the dirty out of it, right? It is a game.
It's a game. They say it's a game, but when you spend hundreds of millions of naira on a particular game, It's a very, very expensive one, and I promise you,
the EFCC has questions about that. I'll tell you later.
But we are going to be talking something funny when we return from this break.
Please stay with us.
Everybody move back. Let us move back. Let us move back. Let us move back. Let's go.
Tetracycline. Septrin. Tetracycline. I want to see we'll hear more about that one.
About which one?
You have a guest.
Yes, we have an artist of the week who has not stopped talking about how Father's Day should be celebrated.
First of all, introduce the man.
We will introduce, please. That means it's a problem, bro. There's problem.
Kiki is not here.
There's
only Kiki that is always talking about problems.
No, okay, we'll clear this. This is our artist of the week. It's only Father's Day we're going to talk about today. Oh yeah, let's go. Artist of the week is Emeka Nehemiah, professionally known as Ajebo.
Hey God, it's me, Tegol, champion of worry. Oh my God.
He did not even let me finish introducing him.
Go on, where I am.
You already know that he's a comedian. Did I say boy? There's nothing to say.
Nothing to say again. Anyway, I'ma help you. He's a Nigerian comedian, animator, content creator, and creative entrepreneur. I'm not using my glasses. I almost said conflict regulator. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thanks
First of all, tell us the end of that tricycling.
Anybody that grew up in Nigeria and Africa, anybody, in fact, it's the entire Africa, you know.
You reminded me of something, but finish.
I don't know why our parents did that to us. Like, you know the name is long. Write it down. They now make us cram it.
Until so you go to the pharmacy.
Tetracycline and septrin again. Tetracycline. So we just turn it to song. so that you don't forget. But as you they pass for road, your guys go, you know to play ball. And when you play, you now forget what you. Hey God, shake it properly. Oh God, I don't die. My mommy got this. Shake it properly, my life. Then you go to the chemist like that with the hopes that if you say the name something similar, the guy will not correct you. Say, Uncle, I want to buy the medicine my mommy used to like. Which one? Shake it properly, my life. You say what?
I remember when I was growing up. I grew up in somewhere in Festac. So we had this help.
Yeah.
And my uncle's wife would say, go and bring, we had the library downstairs in the living room, and upstairs, you know, that's where the family living room. So she would need a book and tell the help, go and bring encyclopedia. You know, encyclopedia is A to Z. So go and bring encyclopedia A and B. The help will go Sansancyclopedia A to B.
You're so naughty.
You know, first of all, someone has been trying to rope you into Father's Day conversation.
Bring it on.
Happy ahead of tomorrow. Happy Father's Day in advance.
Thank you. No Father's Day sale. No hype. Nothing. Nobody's talking about it. So this is why you talk about I take it and I hold it there.
Hype yourself. You only have one life. Hype yourself.
See you. In my house, if it is Mother's Day, Mommy will say, today is Mother's Day.
I'm on break. Before
I go enter kitchen, go cook. On Father's Day, they say, Daddy, come and make us special.
I'm the only man in my house. I have 3 daughters and my wife. So Mother's Day, I celebrate it for all of them. I tell them, I want to cook for you. I do something special. Everybody has a gift. Send flowers. So me, I've told them, you see, Father's Day, and my birthday. Those are the 2 days they have to celebrate me in the year. Don't play with it. So I was coming out of my 6-year-old and 5-year-old. They were like, Daddy, don't come into our room. We have a surprise. We don't want to show you the surprise.
The cat is out of the bag now.
Don't they give that secret to? So I know they are planning something.
But it's
I
good
will not
now.
see the surprise, so that the surprise will be really surprising.
But it's good.
Anyway, let's get to some, serious conversation. Election is happening in Ekiti State. It's also happening in River State. I hope you are contesting for one of them, or you are hoping to contest. They say it's a game.
Yeah.
Politics is a game.
Yeah.
I'm going to play the game now.
Yeah, no, it's not my game.
At least we have a lot of people in the entertainment space,
Yes, it's not my game.
Yeah.
I want to change the world. I want to contribute my quota to
How do
changing
you want
the
to
world.
change the world?
That's what I'm doing already. I believe that you have your calling and your gifting. I don't think that politics is my calling or gifting. If it's an appointment where what I do tallies with bringing about that change, I'm open to it. I feel like I'm called, what I'm doing is what I'm called to do. Beyond stand-up comedy and animation, we said, you know what, let's tweak something. We're blending culture into animations. That's something that we didn't have. Black cartoons, African cartoons, and we paid the price. We've been doing this for 16 years running. And right now we've morphed into House of Ajebo multiverse, where we're trying to now create different experiences of animations where Nigerian children can see themselves in the character, and then we can now pass down those cultural values, those things that children should know about. There's a lot of rubbish going around in the world. And remember, the person, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. You cannot say your child is watching X-rated cartoons because you are watching the foreign one. So it means that the onus has dropped on us, the creators, to do what is right for the children and create those African stories and experiences, right? And that's where we are right now. We're doing a lot in the educational space. Jenny and Kenny is a nursery rhyme channel that we have created with Afrofusion. Their clothes are African, the music is Afrobeat. It is African. The children, the black skin, kinky hair, and we integrated like landmark places across Africa in this content, right? So we're also transitioning to be able to have those storybooks, African storybooks, and by extension, by God's grace, one day we can have our own theme park. We like to call ourselves the Disney for Africa. That's what we're building, okay? And that's my calling, and I'm open to government, partnering with government agencies and private individuals to bring this dream to life.
As part of your calling, you also studied mass communication.
First and second degree.
First and second. So you must be one of our artists. Well,
DSS.
DSS.
No,
one of those presenting for us. We'll just be dancing and looking.
You are on. I'm not sure of the date in December yet, but in December, the date closest to Christmas Day, you're under arrest. DSS has arrested you. DSS has arrested you. This is the stage.
So I'm studying mass comm first and second degree. How has that, helped you to shape what you do from, the comedy to storytelling and everything else that you've just explained?
So for me, comedy did not happen by mistake or by chance. I always wanted to be a comedian from childhood. Right. I was the funniest kid. I was the funniest kid in class.
Did you receive that award? Funniest kid award?
Several awards, I was that child in church when we were selling the children's bulletin. You must buy from me because I'll make you laugh.
Yeah.
Drama group, music group. I was music club president in secondary school and the official school host. So it's always been my thing.
Right.
And I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I Googled university that I could learn comedy on.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so when I didn't have that, I chose to study the media.
Yeah.
Right? And I got my family support.
Yeah.
My parents supported me. That's why my name is Ajebo. Not because it will be real Ajebo. But I had so much support. I pulled up fresh. I had my dad's brand new car I was going to shows with. If I go for free shows, I'm not paid, my mom will pay me.
Wow.
And then she said, if this is what you want to do, you study to PhD level. And I mean no grill.
And that the beautiful thing about that is, there are some people who say, I want to do comedy.
Right.
And then the parents will say, education first and all that, but you wanted to actually study and still go to school and do it. So I think maybe that's where the difference is.
Yes, it was an agreement.
Okay.
We will support you, but when it's time for school, you're going to go. I'm like, sure. And I got into school first week. Second week, I was one of the most popular students in school because I just went to school and continued.
Well, there's something that is very important that you said, and I don't think we should remonstrate it. Oh, well, it's almost time for us to call it a day. African stories for Africans.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a good one.
There was something, and you talked about, the willingness to engage with government where they're willing to support.
Right.
And that's very, very important. There is the story out there that Hollywood is what it is today because the American government wanted to use it as a platform to launder its image, irrespective of whatever it is. So would you be making that kind of call to any federal, state, or local government as well, so that at least people know that we got everything here?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. Very good question. You see, it's funny how they see the Western world, see the light, see us before we see ourselves. Every time they made a story about Africa, Lion King coming to America, Wakanda, hit billions. Yeah, billions in box office. The world is interested in what we're doing. First of all, right? Tegwolo, my character, has about 1 billion views online. He's the most watched character on the internet, made in Africa character on the internet. So outside globally, the world is seeing that, and yes, it is time for Africa to harness what it has. So yes, I'm making that call officially. See, let's do this. We've built not just in the entertainment space, in the educational space, right? Using animation, we have over the years we have laid the foundation, and now it's time to now do this thing. We can tell these stories from our books to the tabs, the content that kids engage with. You watch some of this content on YouTube, and you see that people are actively creating content for children and putting 2 daddies, 2 mommies abroad. Right? You'll see that you're creating content and you're seeing nursery rhyme with zombies. They are intentional about derailing the children. We can be intentional about building African content, right? My nursery rhyme channel, Jenny and Kenny, if you go watch it, the children are African. The landmark, our row your boat is on Nikoyi.
So why Bridge. Jenny and Kenny?
Yes, so that's a very good question. So I would have said Taiwo and Kenny, right? So that was what it's supposed to be, but very generic, right? Yeah. And we wanted something that would still sound African but appeal globally, right? So we tweaked it to Jenny and Kenny. Yeah. So yes, we want government partnerships on this. We want the Ministry of Education to partner on this. The content are amazing. We have several of them.
Yeah, I'm sorry, because as I said earlier, we're running completely out of time already.
Right.
I'm just hoping that we'll all have the courage to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Because a nation doesn't build itself. It's built by people. So if you want to go to those other places, amazing. But the people who built those places, they're still there. And even though there are those who still want to frustrate themselves, let's not be the ones that frustrate ourselves on this end. By the way, DSS December 26. You are hereby, tell your wife and your children.
As far as it's not 25th, because
26th. Don't worry, I exempt you on 25th. 26th. You must come here. Thank you again so much for your time.
Thank you. I have a show coming up on Sunday, next week, 28th. It's happening at Eko Hotel. It's my live comedy show. It happens every year.
Is that the Ajebo Unleashed?
Ajebo Unleashed. The theme is love and laughs. So basically, we're celebrating love and laughs.
Unfortunately, none of you is holding an event on Father's Day.
No, Jerry.
I don't want to hear it again.
That's not why I'm here. Let's not talk about it. It's my own. I want to talk about.
Rebecca Emmanuel, popularly known as Ajebo, comedian, animator, content creator, and creative entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts today.
Thank you.
And
Ekiti election is still ongoing.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Of course, stay tuned to Channels Television. We're still covering the elections. We have our news track up next at 12 noon, where you'll get more updates on that. So stay on with Channels Television. I'm Joker Rogers.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Toodaloo.